The cemetery was supposed to be empty at sunrise, just wet grass and wind scraping through bare branches. But when rugged, road-worn biker Levi Brooks stepped toward his sister's grave, he froze. The little girl sat in the mud beside the headstone, shoulders shaking, small fists pressed to her eyes. She didn't notice him until she whispered something so quiet, so broken, it cracked him open. "I'm sorry I tried to save her." Before we start the story, tell us wherever you're watching from. Tell us in the comments what touched you most in this story. Levi wasn't the type to scare easily. 20 years riding with the Hells Angels out of Ashford County had hardened him in ways most men never understood. But the sight of that tiny figure hunched beside his sister Bates' grave made something inside him lurch. His boots sank into soft earth as he approached, every instinct whispering caution. The girl didn't flinch, didn't look up. She hugged her knees tighter, as if bracing for impact. "Hey," Levi said quietly, surprising even himself with the softness in his tone. "You shouldn't be out here alone." Nothing, just a tiny tremor running through her back. He crouched down, careful not to crowd her. "Name S. Levi. Bate was my sister." She lifted her face at that, tear-streaked, streaks of dirt on her cheeks, hair stuck to her forehead. She couldn't have been more than 9. Her eyes held something too old for her age, the kind of sadness Levi had only seen in veterans and widows. "I know who she was," the girl whispered. She helped me before she died." Levi's breath caught. Bate had been a nurse, always slipping groceries to struggling kids, always seeing pain others ignored. "What's your name, kid?" he asked gently. "Mara," she swallowed. "And I'm here because it's my fault she's gone." Levi felt the world tilt, but he forced himself to stay still. Kids said wild things when they were scared, grieving, lost. Blaming themselves was common, but something in Mara's eyes didn't look like confusion. It looked like memory. "Easy," Levi murmured. "Start from the beginning." Mara wiped her face with her sleeve. "I didn't mean to follow her. I just wanted to talk. She said she'd help me with stuff at home, but she told me to wait outside the clinic. I didn't listen." Levi kept his breathing steady. "Go on." "I saw her arguing with a man, big guy, angry." Mara's voice shook. "He shoved her. I screamed. She looked at me instead of watching him. She slipped, hit her head on the curb." Levi's jaw locked. Bate had died from a fall. Police had ruled it an accident, but no one had mentioned another person involved. "What happened to the man?" Levi asked. "He ran. He said nobody would believe me." Mara folded into herself. "I should have stayed where she told me. She'd still be alive." Levi felt his pulse pounding in his ears. Not anger, not yet. Just a cold, focused clarity he hadn't felt since he buried Bate. "Mara," he said firmly, "look at me." She did, trembling. "Whatever happened, you're not the one who took my sister from me." Wind pressed low through the cemetery, bending dead grass around them. Levi scanned the area out of habit, old instincts, club instincts, years of reading danger in shadows. The girl sitting across from him wasn't dangerous. She was worn thin, like someone who hadn't slept in days. "How long have you been carrying this?" he asked. "Since the funeral," she whispered. "I didn't tell the police. I was scared they'd think I pushed her, or that my mom would get mad again." The word again tightened something in Levi's chest. "Your mom know you're here?" Mara shook her head. "She doesn't really notice where I go. She works nights, sleeps days, mostly yells." Levi didn't push that yet. "Tell me about the man you saw." She hesitated then. "He had a tattoo on his neck. A wolf with red eyes." Levi froze, not visibly, not enough to scare her, but enough that the ground seemed to tilt. He knew that mark. Saw it on jackets at bars, gas stations, behind the county line. The Red Wolves MC, rivals, reckless, known for cheap meth and cheaper tempers. Bate would never have mixed with them willingly. "What clinic was this?" Levi asked. "The Freeport Community one." Levi exhaled slowly. That was 3 towns over, far from Hell's Angels territory. Mara wrapped her arms around herself. "Are you mad at me?" He shook his head. "No, kid, I'm mad at the man who ran." Levi stood, joints cracking after crouching too long, and held out a hand. Mara startled, like she wasn't used to anyone offering anything gently. She hesitated before placing her small hand in his rough palm. Her fingers were ice cold. "Come on, let's get you warmed up," he said. She tugged back slightly. You're not going to tell my mom, right? We'll figure that out later." His voice stayed steady. "But right now you're shaking." He led her toward the gravel path. At his bike, she stopped dead, eyes widening at the chrome, the blacked-out pipes, the Hell's Angels patch on his cut. "You're with them?" she whispered. "Yeah, everyone in Ashford County knew the patch." Kids were raised to cross streets to avoid bikers, but Bate always said her brother was different, the good kind. "You scared?" Levi asked. Mara studied him for a long second. "No, Bate trusted you." The words hit deeper than they should have. He handed her his sister's old hoodie from the saddlebag, a habit he never shook. Mara pulled it on, sleeves swallowing her hands. "You cold?" he asked. "A little." "You want breakfast?" Her stomach growled loudly enough to answer for her. Levi nodded. "Then let's go." The Rusted Lantern Diner sat on the edge of town, a place where truckers, bikers, and exhausted nurses all drifted through before sunrise. The bell over the door jingled sharply as Levi and Mara stepped in. A few regulars glanced up, brows lifting at the sight of a leather-clad Hell's Angel walking in with a small girl half-drowned in a hoodie. Levi kept a hand near Mara's back, guiding her to a booth in the corner. The vinyl seat swallowed her tiny frame as she sat stiffly, uncertain of the rules here. "Relax," Levi said. "Food's good. People mind their own." A waitress named Dana, who'd once stitched Levi's knuckles after a bar fight, approached with raised eyebrows. "Coffee for you?" she asked, then looked at Mara. "Hot chocolate for the kid." Mara nodded, eyes lowered. When Dana walked away, Levi leaned forward. "Mara, you said Bate helped you with stuff at home. What does that mean?" She twisted the hoodie strings. "My mom gets overwhelmed. She works a lot. Sometimes she gets angry and throws things. Sometimes she drinks." Levi's jaw clenched, but he stayed calm. "Did Bate know?" "She saw bruises." "I didn't want her to. But she said nobody deserved to feel scared in their own house." Levi exhaled slowly. "She was right." Mara's eyes lifted. "She told me she was looking into something that might help me." A slow dread crept into Levi's bones. "What kind of something?" Mara's fingers tightened on the edge of the table, knuckles whitening beneath the oversized sleeves. She looked like she might fold into herself, vanish completely if pushed too hard. Levi waited, letting the silence breathe. Bate always said kids opened up when you stopped trying to yank the truth out of them. Finally, Mara whispered, "She said she was talking to someone who helps kids when homes get unsafe." Levi's chest tightened. "You mean social services?" "I think so." Mara's voice cracked, "but she told me to wait, said she needed more time. She didn't want to make things worse." Breakfast arrived, pancakes for Mara, eggs for Levi. The smell filled the booth, warm and grounding. Mara stared at the food like she wasn't sure she was allowed to touch it. Levi nudged the plate closer. "She was helping you," he said quietly. Mara nodded. "Bate said she'd talk to my mom first, try to get her some help, but she never got the chance." Levi leaned back, absorbing the blow. Bate always tried to fix broken things, even when they cut her hands doing it. If she'd been confronting someone, maybe the mom, maybe that red wolf, something could have spiraled. "Kid," he said, tone steady, "you need to tell me exactly what happened after Bate fell." Mara swallowed hard. I ran, but I wasn't fast enough." A trucker dropped coins near the counter, metal clattering against tile. The diner's hum felt distant as Mara's voice went fragile. "The man with the wolf tattoo, he grabbed me when I tried to run." Levi's breath sharpened. "He touched you." She shook her head quickly. "Not like that. He just held my arm tight and said if I told anyone what happened, he'd come find my mom. He said people like us don't get believed." A familiar burn of anger crept under Levi's skin, not wild rage, but a cold, steady current, the kind he'd learned to control after too many bad nights. "What did you do?" he asked. "I said nothing. Police asked if I was at the clinic. I said no, and they believed me because I always do what grown-ups say." Levi rubbed his jaw, thinking. This wasn't just a scared kid inventing shadows. Red wolves were sloppy, impulsive, desperate. One of them could have easily lashed out, but threatening a child, that meant they were hiding something bigger than a shove. "Do you remember his face?" Levi asked. Mara nodded. "I still see it when I close my eyes." Outside, a Harley rolled past, engine rumbling like distant thunder. "All right," Levi said quietly. "We're going to figure this out." The rest of breakfast passed in tense silence. Mara ate like someone who didn't get to slow down often, fast at first, then cautiously, as if waiting for the meal to be snatched away. When the plates were clean, Levi signaled Dana for the check. She slid him a look, one that asked a dozen questions without a word, but didn't pry. When they stepped outside, the cold morning air wrapped around them. Mara hugged the hoodie tighter. Levi crouched to her level, elbows on his knees. "Mara, I need to know something. Do you feel safe at home?" She hesitated long enough to answer the question without speaking. Levi nodded once. He understood too well. "You got anyone else? Relatives? Neighbors you trust?" "No!" A tiny shake of the head. "Just bait," she said. She said she wasn't going to let me fall through the cracks. Levi swallowed the lump in his throat. Bait always saw the invisible kids, the forgotten ones. "All right," he said. "Then, until we figure things out, you're sticking with me." Mara blinked, startled. "But you don't even know me." "I know enough." His voice softened. "And you shouldn't be alone." She sniffed. "What about my mom?" "We're not ignoring her," Levi said gently. "But I need to see things for myself first." Mara's eyes flickered with something like relief. "Come on," Levi said, rising. "Let's go talk to her." Mara lived in a tired, sagging apartment complex on the south edge of town, where the paint peeled in strips and the stair rails rattled when you touched them. Levi parked the Harley and scanned the lot, empty beer cans near the dumpster, 2 broken bikes on the grass, a neighbor shouting at someone inside. Mara led him up the stairs, hesitating before unlocking the door. Inside, the air smelled like stale cigarettes and something sour beneath it. The living room was cluttered, not dirty, but overwhelmed. A woman lay asleep on the couch, an empty bottle on the coffee table. Dark circles carved shadows under her eyes. She stirred when Levi stepped inside. "What the, Mara, who's this?" Her voice was groggy but sharp. Mara flinched. Levi kept his tone measured. "Name, S. Levi Brooks. Bait, my sister, helped Mara." Something flickered in the woman's expression, recognition, guilt, grief. She sat up straighter, rubbing her temples. I know who you are. Bait talked about you once." Levi nodded. "Can we talk?" Mara's mom glanced around the room, suddenly ashamed of the mess. "Not a good time." "It wasn't for Bait either," Levi said quietly, but she stepped in anyway. The woman's eyes filled. "I didn't want her to." The woman, Carla, pulled her blanket tighter around her shoulders, avoiding eye contact. "Bait came a few times. She brought food, helped Mara with school. I told her to stop." "Why?" Levi asked. Carla's jaw trembled. "Because when people help you, they see things. Things you don't want seen." Levi said nothing. Carla stared at the floor, voice fraying. "I'm trying, I swear, but I'm drowning. Working double shifts, never sleeping, then drinking just to feel my chest stop squeezing." Tears slid down her face. "Bait said she wanted to help me get treatment, help Mara feel safe." Mara watched from the hallway, frozen between hope and fear. "What happened the day Bait died?" Levi asked. Carla shut her eyes. "She left here after dropping off groceries. She was supposed to meet someone. She didn't tell me who." Levi felt his pulse change rhythm. "Someone from the Red Wolves." Carla's shoulders stiffened. "Carla," Levi said quietly, "tell me." "I don't know his name," she whispered. "But he'd been hanging around the complex, asking questions about Bait. Said she was sticking her nose where it didn't belong." That cold clarity returned to Levi's veins. "He have a wolf tattoo on his neck." Carla's breath hitched. "Yes." Levi exhaled, steady and slow. Not relief, confirmation. He looked at Mara. "Kid, you did nothing wrong." But Levi knew. Someone else had, someone still walking free. Carla slumped back onto the couch, wiping her face with shaking hands. Levi stood in the center of the small living room, absorbing every detail. The burned-out lamp, the stack of unopened mail. Mara's backpack slumped in a corner like it had given up too. "Carla," he said evenly, "Mara told me what she saw at the clinic." Her eyes widened, panic flaring. "She told you she's been carrying it alone. That's too much for a kid." Carla covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. I didn't know she was there. Bait said she'd handle it quietly. She said confronting that man was risky." Levi's breath tightened. "Bait always did the right thing, even when it cost her." Carla looked at him with a pleading, broken stare. "I didn't hurt my daughter, Levi. I'm not a monster, but I'm not enough for her either. You think I don't see how scared she gets when I'm drinking? I hate myself for it." Mara lingered by the kitchen doorway, eyes glistening. Levi lowered his voice. "Carla, nobody else accusing you, but this isn't safe. Not for her, not with that wolf sniffing around." Carla's face paled. He came back 2 nights ago, asking if I'd seen you around. Levi's stomach dropped. Me? He asked. Carla nodded. He knows you're asking questions. Levi guided Mara outside, before Carla's shaking could scare her further. On the walkway, Mara clung to the hoodie sleeves, twisting them anxiously. She didn't mean to yell, Mara whispered. She just gets stuck. Bate said she was sick in a way people can't see. Levi crouched to meet her eyes. Mara, your mom isn't bad. She's overwhelmed. But you still deserve to feel safe. Mara looked past. The first bikes arrived quietly, unusual for the Hells Angels. 3, then 5, then 7, engines rumbling low. No patches displayed. They came unmarked, neutral, so they wouldn't spook the neighborhood. A tall, broad man with streaks of gray in his beard approached. "Kid," he said, nodding to Levi, "you said it was about a child." Mara shrank behind Levi. "This is Rick," Levi explained softly. "Old friend, one of the good ones." Rick crouched, keeping distance. "Hi, Mara. We're just here to make sure no one bothers you, that's all." Mara peeked at him, then whispered, "The man with the wolf tattoo hurt Bate." Rick's expression didn't change, but the muscles in his jaw twitched. He stood and stepped closer to Levi. "You sure you want us involved?" he asked. "I don't want retaliation," Levi said firmly. "I want answers, and I want her safe." Rick nodded once. "We'll keep watch." Levi turned to Mara. "These guys won't let anything happen to you." He took a shaky breath. "Okay." With the others keeping a low perimeter, Levi walked Mara down the block, away from the tension brewing near the building. They stopped at a quiet playground, the kind with faded slides and a broken swing swaying in the wind. Mara climbed onto the bench, hugging her knees. Levi sat across from her. "You said you tried to run," he said gently. "Can you tell me what happened next?" Mara stared at the gravel. "He told me Bates stuck her nose into his business. He said she was trying to get someone arrested. I didn't know what he meant." Levi leaned in, listening. "He said if anyone found out he pushed her, he'd clean up loose ends." Mara's voice cracked. "I didn't want to be a loose end." A chill slid down Levi's spine, not fear for himself, but for her. That red wolf wasn't just reckless. He was spiraling. Mara swiped at her eyes. "Bate tried to protect me, and she died because I didn't stay where she told me." Levi moved to sit beside her. Not touching, just close enough to feel present. "Kid, Bate made her own choices. She helped because she cared. That's not on you." Mara sniffed. "Then why does it feel like it is?" "Because you loved her," Levi said quietly. "And losing someone you love always feels like your fault, even when it is." A rusted sedan crept around the corner, engine sputtering. Levi watched it from the corner of his eye. No club sticker, no tinted windows, not the wolf. But he didn't relax. You couldn't in neighborhoods like this, not with a scared kid beside you. Mara tugged his sleeve. "What happens now?" Levi exhaled. "First, we get you somewhere safe for the night." "My mom! Your mom needs help too." "I'll talk to her. But you can't stay here with that guy circling." Mara bit her lip. "Where will I go?" Levi hesitated only a moment. "With me, just tonight, until we sort things out." She blinked. "At your house?" "Yeah." "Is it scary?" "A little messy," he admitted, "but safe." Mara considered this like a major life decision. "Okay, but only if Bate would think it's okay." Levi looked away, jaw tight. "Bate would want you protected. That's all I'm doing." The sedan looped back around the block, slower this time. Rick's voice crackled over Levi's phone. "Brooks, you seeing this? That's the third pass." "Yeah," Levi murmured. Mara looked up, frightened. Levi rose, offering his hand. "Time to go, kid." Levi guided Mara toward the line of bikes where Rick and the others waited, eyes scanning the street with quiet precision. The sedan had vanished, but the tension it left behind clung to the air. Mara gripped Levi's hand tightly, her small fingers cold through the fabric. Rick stepped closer. "We'll run sweep along your route, no tails." Levi nodded. "Appreciate it." He lifted Mara onto the Harley, securing her with the spare jacket. She leaned into him, trembling less now, trusting his steadiness. As the bikes rolled out, engines humming low, Levi felt something shift inside him. Not rage, not even grief, but responsibility. Protecting this kid wasn't optional anymore. Halfway down the block, Mara whispered, "Levi, did Bate ever get scared?" He hesitated, then said, "Yeah, but she did the right thing anyway." Mara rested her head against his back. I want to be brave like her. Levi's house sat on the outskirts of town, a small one-story place with peeling paint, and a porch Bate used to tease him about repairing. He carried Mara's backpack inside, flicking on the light. The silence felt heavy but safe. Mara wandered the living room slowly, noticing the photos, Bate laughing with Levi at a barbecue, Bate holding a rescued stray dog, Bate in scrubs smiling tiredly. Mara touched one frame gently. She loved you a lot, she whispered. Levi swallowed hard. Yeah, more than I deserved. Mara turned to him. Do you miss her every day? Every single one. She nodded as if that matched something inside her. Levi made cocoa while Rick's men kept watch outside. Mara curled into the couch, shoulders finally lowering. Levi, if that man comes back, will he hurt my mom? Levi sat beside her. Not if I can help it. She needs support, not fear. Later that evening, Carla called. Levi stepped onto the porch to answer. Her voice trembled. That man, he came to the door after you left, asked if I'd seen Mara. Levi's grip tightened on the railing. Did he touch you? No, but he looked around like he owned the place. Carla sniffed. I'm scared, Levi. He kept his voice steady. Mara's with me, she's safe. Silence, then a broken whisper. I never wanted her to be afraid of home. Levi exhaled through his nose. You're overwhelmed, not evil, but you need help, counseling, rehab, something to steady you. Carla didn't argue. If I do, can Mara still see me? Yeah, but we do this right. When he returned inside, Mara looked up instantly. Was that my mom? He nodded. She wants to get better. Mara's relief was small but real. Can I see her soon? Soon, Levi promised. Next morning, Rick arrived early. Found your wolf, he said quietly. Name's Cal Morton, low-level runner for the Red Wolves, been stirring trouble for months. Levi's jaw tightened. He threatened a kid. That crosses every line. Rick nodded. Club wants to handle it. Levi shook his head. No violence. We confront him clean. He talks or I go to the sheriff. Rick smirked. You're getting soft. No, Levi said, just smarter. They found Cal behind a convenience store, chain-smoking, jittery. When Levi approached, Cal paled. I didn't kill her, he blurted. She slipped. I panicked. Levi stepped closer. You threatened a child to hide your cowardice. Cal's shoulders sagged. I'll talk. I'll tell the cops everything. That was all Levi needed. Back at the house, Mara waited anxiously. Is he gone? Levi crouched beside her. He won't bother you again, and he's telling the truth now. 2 weeks later, Levi sat beside Mara and Carla in a small counseling office. Carla looked healthier, tired, but clearer. Mara held both their hands, a small anchor between two people trying to rebuild. The sheriff confirmed Cal Morton's statement, ruling Bates' death accidental, but acknowledging the intimidation that followed. For the first time, the weight began to lift. Outside, Mara tugged Levi's sleeve. Can we visit Bate today?